Assalamu alaikum and welcome to series 2 of the Our Girlington podcast. I'm your host standing in for Barbara today, Akif Wasim, and with us as always is our esteemed Imam of Masjid Umar, Malana Sajid there. Assalamu alaikum Malana Sajid, how are you?
Walaikum salam. How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, all good, all good. This is a football free zone. So we're giving people the chance to look at something different other than the football. Although I did watch the Austria and North Macedonia game earlier, and I'm telling you, there's some good games on. With us today in this particular podcast, well, in series 2, we're going to have a load of different and hopefully some insightful guests. And with us today, kicking us off, is our local councillor, Kamran Hussain, councillor for the Toll Award. Kamran, welcome to our podcast. We are so delighted to have you here. How are you keeping? Everything good?
Alhamdulillah, very good. And it gives me privilege to be here. And I want to thank yourself, Akif, and also Maulana Sajid Saab for extending the invite and inviting me over. And like I said, it's a brilliant podcast which you guys run on a weekly basis. It keeps the communities informed. And I'm very grateful for you guys having me.
Jazakallah, no, we appreciate you taking the invite. Just going to launch straight into it. Kamran, people know you as the councillor. They don't, but a lot of people watching may not know you on a personal level. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Your upbringing, where the area you live in, the schools you went to. Just a little bit of a background, if you would, just so we can, have a bit of context of where you come from and your thinking.
Of course. I attended the Wetley Nursery, which is just on Wetley Lane at the bottom of Girlington. I went on to Wetley First School and at that time Wetley Middle School. Now we have a two-tier. So now we have a two-tier system where we got the first schools and then straight into the secondary schools. But in them days we used to have a middle school as well. So Wetley Middle School, and then from middle school I went straight off to Rhodes Way. I've lived obviously in Girlington my entire life. This is where I was brought up, so it was quite natural for me to attend these local schools. And from that, obviously, from after going into Rhodes Way, and now a lot of people don't know this. I didn't actually attain some brilliant GCSE results at that stage. So I had to move on to, rather than A-levels, I had to move on to the college. At Bradford College. So when I went on to Bradford College, that's when I obviously I think put my head down a little bit, and from there on I studied law at Bradford as well, and then continued my study at Cardiff University, and then obviously started working for a law firm in Bradford, and from there obviously I completed my training there. Personal life, I'm married with two young children, alhamdulillah, two boys. So they're quite hands-on at the moment. One's 1 year old and the other one's 3. So you can understand I do have sleepless nights as well. On top of it all, so alhamdulillah, and so that's a little bit of a flavor from where I'm coming. Born and bred in Girlington, actually.
MashaAllah. I mean, you come from a long line of public servants. I mean, for those older viewers, your father was our local ward councillor. Your brother, for those who don't know, is our MP for Bradford East, Imran Hussain, and he was also our ward councillor for Toller as well. Was there a pressure for you to essentially go into what seems like the family business? Because a life of public service is a big one, and Malan Sajid will attest to that. Is a different sort of role, or was it something that you sort of fell into naturally? How did that come about?
Well, look, it's a question which often crops up, and the God's honest answer to it is I have other siblings who quite naturally chose different careers and went into different areas. So there was no pressure. But from a very young age, I was quite close to my, and still am actually very close to my father. So I used to really make a fuss and tag along with him when he used to go out to his meetings, public engagements, and I think from that age I really started taking a very keen interest in politics, and it was something when I used to see my father helping people, in turn my brother helping people. It was a quite natural step for me to take and go into politics. Like I said, a lot of people, if you look into a household, when constantly you've got one area that's being discussed day and night in your household, whether that's politics or anything else, it's quite naturally something that you do get interested in. And a friend of mine put it quite naturally and quite straightforward. What he said was his father was owned a corner shop, and in a corner shop in Girlington, and he progressed on to take over that corner shop because he used to enjoy, serving customers and being at the forefront, and quite naturally. But there was no pressure. It was definitely, there was no pressure there. But what there was a genuine comfort in helping people, and the satisfaction when you help somebody, and when you see, look, there's jobs all over, and we will dwell into that later on in this podcast. But when you help somebody and you made a difference in their life, the satisfaction for that is on a different scale altogether, and that's that personal satisfaction that I think I enjoy. I still continue to get that, and I think that's the reason that I really entered into politics.
I think, Kamran, people always want to see from our councillors and our MPs if are they doing it for the right reason? Is the passion there? I know, especially a few years ago in the election, a lot of it was use the brotherly system, and we only vote because who our favourites are or somebody that's related to us. And I think we have to get away from that, and I think we have to vote the right people in for the right reasons. And mashallah, like you've got a history of where your families are into this, but I think we can only see your record, or we can see what you guys do. So what is your role as a councillor, and what's the difference between a councillor and MP, so we as ignorant people can know the difference?
Of course, look, you're absolutely right, and I'm going to touch upon the first point which you said. Of course, listen, votes. If anybody's seeking to get your vote, it has to be on merit, and they have to basically prove that they have commitment and conviction for local issues if it's a councillor, and district issues if it's a councillor, or national issues if it's a member of parliament. A role of a councillor now, I normally put it down as a twofold role. The first role is listening to your constituents, being accessible to your constituents, and understanding their concerns. Secondly, is to then take them concerns into City Hall, where you can then address those concerns in those corridors of power, and making sure that your voice is heard and your constituents' voice is heard as well. Because this is what you are. You're a mouthpiece for your constituent. And it's about going forward and understanding that what your firstly concerns are that the constituents have raised, and then taking it forward. Now, before I move on to the role of an MP and give the differentiation between both of them, and a local councillor, sometimes people think that we've got cleansing issues in the district or in the local wards. We have fly tipping, which is a blight in our local communities. We have parking issues, which is a massive issue within our local communities. But at the same time, a councillor's role is to take them on board and making sure he addresses those. But at the same time, there's other elements to the role, because a councillor then sits on various different committees in the council itself, and he has to scrutinise those decisions, and also be part of a decision-making process where he is basically fighting for the rights and fighting for his constituents, i.e., in my case, Toller Ward. The difference between an MP is an MP is a more national scale, because an MP can raise those concerns nationally, and it's not to do with street lights, parking, and stuff like this. It's to do with national policy. and it's to do with like if there's a lawmaking. That's why they call them in other terms lawmakers. It's about legislation. It's about bringing those legislation, and that's why you have for each so for an area like Bradford West or Bradford East, we will have 18 councillors for Bradford West, and you'll have one MP. So for argument's sake, in Bradford East, you've got obviously Kamran Hussain, who's a member of parliament. Now he'll be taking back, listening to his constituents' concerns and taking them forward and moving in and making sure that their voice is heard in houses of in the House of Commons.
So, Kamran, recently we just had the elections and in Toller, and so obviously we're at our Girlington podcast, and our concern is here the Girlington area. How many councils do we have in this Toller area?
So in Toller Ward, you have 3 councillors. You have Councillor Arshad Hussain, who's been a councillor for a number of years and comes with a vast experience. Then you've got Councillor Fawzi Shaheen. Again, she's been a councillor since 2015, and her commitment to the area has again been absolutely brilliant. And then in 2018, I was elected as the councillor. So you have 3 Labour councillors here in Toller Ward.
Mashallah. What do you think, in your opinion, are the biggest challenges that face us in Girlington, Kamran?
Well, look, challenges are different for everybody, and every constituent has their own personal challenges. So if I was to go up to, for argument's sake, Scotchman Road, because you're Toller Ward comprises of, I look at it as 3 different parts. So you've got the Scotchman Road, Lillycroft area. Then you've got the Girlington, the heart of it, at the bottom, the Girlington area, which covers West Park, Girlington, and all of this. And then you've got a little bit up the road where you've got Chellardine, where you've got parts of Chellardine that also come into it as well. So these are the 3 main areas, and like I said, that they classified in. And with Toller being so compact, everything's literally a stone throw away. And I think one of the biggest challenges that we have in Toller Ward and across the district actually is number one is fly tipping is a massive issue within our district, and especially within inner city areas. Then you've got obviously residential, you've got parking, which is cropping up quite a bit. Then you've got antisocial behavior, which is again cropping up while you're speaking to people, and these are real issues that actually bother people. I was only a couple of days ago, I was speaking to a resident in Toller, and they were telling me the kind of serious effect that antisocial behavior is having on their family, because you've got a group of young individuals coming and congregating outside their house, and unfortunately sometimes till 11, 12 o'clock. Now they are just standing there. They're not actually doing anything, but they are loud. And unfortunately, when you've got kids who are going to be going to school in the morning, that causes a lot of pressures for families, especially inner city areas where technically where sometimes you've got one of the parents that goes out and works and then has to come back, and then they've got an early shift in the morning. This does cause a big problem, and stuff like this. We are working with the police in partnership with the council and looking at how we can address, maybe have more police patrol and stuff like this.
No problem. I think Milan said he just had to leave us for a minute.
Yeah.
We'll continue without him though. If someone in the community wants to take the initiative, so for example, they want to do something, how would you be able to help them with that? I know you've been involved with a few community groups yourself, but someone wants to sort of take the initiative of their own back. Is there ways that you can help them?
Absolutely. The Bradford Council has a project called People Can, and that's to empower people itself. So, the name says it all, is People Can. So, if somebody wants to take the initiative, organize, let's say for argument's sake, organize so I'll answer this in 2 folds. But if somebody wants to take the initiative, organize a clean up, or organize session for a general tidy up of the area. They could get in touch with Bradford Council. They could get in touch with the People Can team, and they will be provided with all the support and the equipment to carry out that particular initiative. On the other hand, if a grassroots organisation wants to get involved in community initiatives, again, they could contact ideally the local councillors, where we can then get involved with them and look to getting it the traction that it needs.
Well, I mean, that's good to hear, and I know you have been involved with some of these. Just a couple of things, and this is a two-part thing. We've got, I mean, you've been elected in 2018. By the end of your term, what do you want to have achieved? And has there been something already that you've been involved with that you've thought, oh wow, that's actually made a decent change, whether it's something off your own back, or whether it's someone's approached you and you've helped them. I'm just wondering sort of aims and sort of achievements to date. I know you've only been in 2018, and we've had COVID as well, so all that's had an impact on it. But I know you are involved with a lot of things, and it's good to let people know some of these things sometimes as well, isn't it?
No, absolutely, and some of the things that I've personally been involved with, alongside my colleagues, Councillor Kamran Hussain and Fawzi Shaheen, have been, whilst we were knocking on the doors, speaking to residents in Scotchman Road area. There was a real problem with there was no open community space. So we worked with other partners and looked to secure an open space where kids, families, elders, can go there, and that will have a big advantage to their health as well, because there's a massive health inequality within the inner districts as well. So we worked with other partners and made sure that we've seen that project come through, and alhamdulillah, now in the next couple of weeks, that project will be, we're just waiting for the grass to grow, and apart from that, everything's been built. So that's something that we've pushed, and hopefully we're looking to have that opened very soon. Further down in Girlington, we've got the West Park. Now at this moment, we're lobbying for a refurbishment of West Park, because it's not, I believe it's not fit for purpose anymore, and we're lobbying to get more up-to-date equipment in there. Also some exercising machines as well for our elderly, so they can have somewhere to go, and whilst they're tackling this the health inequalities as well, and at the same time they've got a place of recreation as well.
I mean, literally, we've just had a question come in about West Park, and we've got it on screen now. I think it says our area is overdue proper investment, and you've just said that you are lobbying the council. Youth development, that's another thing, and I know you've done some work around that locally with sort of local organisation. I think that is a big thing that does need to be pushed, especially with COVID, and it's from putting my football hat on, the lads coming back have been really unfit due to the long periods of inactivity. I mean, are there things in the pipeline and that we could do in and around? You've said we've got the machines coming in, or hopefully coming in West Park, but are there other little bits and bobs that we could do possibly?
Well, look, absolutely, and like I said, one of the biggest engagements that I've come across is I'm trying to reach out to grassroots organisations within the Toller Ward area, and just to find out and get ideas from them. Because look, sometimes I might not have all the answers, and sometimes this is why you need to go back to the grassroots and speak to those organizations and make sure that you listen to them, because I'm a mouthpiece, and then I can then advocate that forward. Just obviously on Imran Hafiz's question, which he's and again, absolutely, youth development is a massive issue, and he's right. There has been a lack of investment that has been brought in. So this is why at this moment we are in negotiation with partners from across all organizations in relation to the Squire Lane development, because there was a development due to be taking place, i.e. a recreation facility and also a swimming pool. Unfortunately, it's been dormant for a number of years, but I'm proud to say that we have now managed to get that up and running, and we have now seen some movement on that. So of course we take youth development very, very seriously, and this is why when we made up the budget, we made sure that we put money back into the youth services. Obviously that went back into the youth services. Now we have to understand, we are, as the council, we are quite stuck as well, because what you've got is, you've got obviously this is a Labour-led administration, but then you've got, over the last 10 years, we've had a Tory government who, under the banner of austerity, has given us over £300 million worth of cuts. Now, Bradford wholly used to rely on that £300 million worth of funds in order to invest it further. So, our services have been decimated at the hands of a Tory ideological government whose whole agenda was cuts, and they've completely, under the banner of austerity, decimated some of our services.
Kamran Hussain, it's nice to hear that you're talking about grassroots works, and even myself, I'm a great believer of this. And this is one of the things that we've done here at Masjid Umar. We set up this our Girlington, and the whole purpose is to give opportunities, to educate, to empower our own community, the youth. And I think that's what it is. As an imam, you can say to people, this is haram, don't go near this is wrong, this is right. But then the thing is, it's opportunities. Do our children have opportunities? If they don't, they end up going towards haram, they end up going towards the wrong, because there's lack of opportunities within the Girlington, Toller ward areas, or there's lack of investment. And because that, people then just get disheartened with the politicians, the councillors, and think, how come further down the road they get everything, and whereas Girlington's always left to suffer? And because of this, like I said, people then go down the wrong routes, and these are concerns that our community does have.
Absolutely, and very real concerns, very, very real concerns. And end of the day, look, we have seen some brilliant projects in Girlington, but we're not seeing those projects anymore. But like I said, we are looking to bring some of those projects back. I remember when Girlington Centre was made the Centre of Excellence. And we had a massive investment coming to Girlington Centre, and it showed children, and the project was absolutely brilliant. What that project was about was it showed children, it had a fake kind of a dummy prison cell in there. It had a dummy magistrate's court in there, and it took kids down basically an educational route where it showed them that this is where obviously taking them off street corners and bringing them inside to educate them and explain to them that, look, if you don't come in and obviously join our extracurricular activities, then potentially you may end up going down a different route. And you're right, poverty is the key to everything. Poverty is the key to deprivation. Poverty is the key to somebody who can potentially, escape that route of going down a life of crime. But due to poverty, due to the circumstances, he will end up being spiraled into this life of crime. And we have to find deterrence, and we have to show. I've grown up in Girlington. I've seen firsthand, the opportunities that we had. So, like I said, you're preaching to an open door here, and like I said, I will continue to fight for more resources for Toller Ward, and I will continue to bring more and more good projects in Girlington and empower local grassroots organisation for them to move forward and be firstly self-sustainable, so they're not having to rely on small pockets of money, £1,000 here, there, £1,000 there. That isn't sustainable. You need organizations, you need a proper structure that these organizations, these grassroots organizations, can be properly structured in a way where they can sustain themselves.
Kamran Hussain, I've got an issue that sometimes does concern, especially nowadays. I might we might end up losing some viewers, but so be the case. The thing is, we've seen a lot of chai places open, a lot of shisha lounges open, whatever. We've seen a lot of disruption on Ingleby Road, especially at night time. And look, to earn halal risk, that's one thing. But on the other hand, where there is disruption, people are just loitering about. There's antisocial behavior that's created. There's a lot of rubbish that falls. The cars are disrupted. A lot of people are angry, but they're scared to say something because they feel that if we say something, we'll be singled out. And but I think sometimes, and sometimes I see on TNA when people, when they don't get the permission to have a chai ho or somewhere, especially in the area where it's all built up or it's going to cause chaos. How can we eradicate such things and such antisocial behavior?
So look, those businesses that that run without planning permission or run without licenses and stuff like that, then look, there's no two ways about that. They need to be enforced. And at the end of the day, if ultimately they are going to close down, then they're going to close down, because we have to stay within the boundaries of the law. So the law is there, and that has to be enforced, and it has to be picked up. Now, if certain businesses are working within the boundaries of the law, they have planning permission. And there is littering around their obviously shops or their chai place or something along those lines. Now I can't comment because they've been granted planning permission through our planning services. Therefore, obviously, according to them, they're a legitimized business running legitimately. Therefore, given that circumstance, but then I urge them businesses to work with local, if not local residents, work with the council in order to engage or drive a policy where you're managing your own little patch, where if there is litter there, then pick it up. Employ somebody, or if they can't employ somebody, well, just put an initiative in place where they're picking up the litter from that area. So that's on that particular front. And look, Ingleby Road, you're absolutely right. That just obviously, it's the gateway entrance into Toller. And, sometimes I've been stuck in traffic there myself. But the difficulty, what you've got is, Morrison's need to play a very important part in this. Because what you do see is, you see Morrison car park completely loitered with, with cars and stuff like that. And I think that's where the antisocial behavior obviously takes on. So I again urge Morrison's to take some responsibility, for those businesses around there to take some responsibility, and look to put in deterrence, i.e. whether that's bollards, whether that's something else. I think Morrison have recently put in bollards, and I think everybody should work to strengthen our communities, not try to take us back and obviously put problems for local residents living in the local vicinity.
No, we appreciate that, and there are a lot of issues around planning that have come up, unfortunately, and down on Ingleby Road. I mean, there was a shisha place open that without planning permission there, which they closed down, and keeps infrequently open up, and that's a battle that you have to keep on fighting, unfortunately. Just swinging away from the local issues to nationally, just wanted to ask something about your opinion of Jeremy Corbyn. And I know you're a member of the Labour Party. I mean, we'll come back to some of the local issues later on, but why do you think they didn't take to Jeremy Corbyn as they should have? I mean, we in Bradford, I know he came here and there was massive support for him, but why as a country do people go so against Jeremy Corbyn, who at the end of the day was a decent man with sort of decent ambitions, but he was turned into a demagogue in the media, was he not?
Well, look, when Jeremy was the leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy in Bradford took some of the largest vote share that Bradford has ever seen, with and some of those votes were from obviously some of the most deprived areas, and people came out because they believed in what was being said at that time. But unfortunately, nationally, the picture like you said, it wasn't as that because it was more of a Brexit election. You see, 2019, you have to understand, was a complete Brexit election. It had been hijacked by Brexit, and the election focused on just Brexit and obviously getting out. So that's why what you've seen there nationally, it was, if you follow the media nationally, the only thing people were speaking about were Brexit. You know, issues that actually mattered, the National Health Service, you know, the transport infrastructure, and stuff like that were never ever even brought to surface, and people were more bothered about Brexit. Now look, I was a proud supporter of Remain, but we are where we are now, and you know, the public democratically voted to, like I said, to leave. Therefore, you know, we all have to support that decision, and now we've left, and that's the end of the matter.
But I think Akif hit the nail on the head that he was a decent man. I think that's a problem, Akif. People don't like decent men anymore, and he, you know, he was a genuine Labour person and a genuine person that had concern for people, and I think unanimously the general public really loved him. They called out his name, and I don't, you know, you haven't seen that in ages. But I think this is where the fear is within, you know, the masses, is that politics is going away from the common people, and it's not there for the common people. It's for the rich, and the rich are just getting richer, and the poor are just getting poorer. And not just in Bradford, I think throughout communities, and I think that's why people are disheartened with politics, because genuine people, decent people, are not being listened to anymore, and people that have power, have strength, you know, they're the one that seem to win, or they're the one that get heard. And I think that those are some of the frustrations, I think, globally, within, you know, what you call within countries, within people.
Well, look, you know, you're absolutely right, Maulana Sahab, that we have to look at this as in a perspective, and look, my perspective is one that we can't just give up and go home. We as I would classify myself as a working class individual, you know, who's born and bred in Girlington, and I've made a choice to go into politics to make a difference, and I will continue to do that. And whether I'm heard, whether I'm not heard, I will continue to do that. And it's those voices that when you have one voice, right, that will echo over and over again, and sooner or later, you know, the masses will listen. And like I said, we should never give up. We should always move in a direction where we're looking to make a change, because that is the real empowerment. It's the people's empowerment.
Thank you for that. Just to our viewers out there, we're looking at the questions, and the questions are coming in. Keep your questions coming in. We will put those to Councillor Kamran, you know, towards the end of the show itself. Just moving on from Jeremy Corbyn, whilst we're on the subject as well. Keir Starmer, now new Labour leader, thought this was going to be a clean sweep. Hopefully, you know, we were hoping that he would get some traction and become the next Prime Minister. But one of the first things he said, and I'm putting this to you because I know you and yourself and your brother Imran and your family as a whole are strong sort of backers of Kashmiri self-determination. But in 2019, Labour passed a motion saying that Kashmir was a disputed territory and the people of Kashmir should be given the right to self-determination in accordance to UN resolutions. But yet, on getting elected, without going to conference, and he backed this up a year later, he says any constitutional issues in India are a matter for the Indian Parliament, and Kashmir is a bilateral issue for India and Pakistan to resolve. How can we who support, you know, the right of Kashmiri self-independence back someone like that? I know there was huge uproar at the time when he said it, and I've got an idea he's trying to attract the Indian vote as well, who may be a little bit more influential than us poor Pakistanis. But what's your take on this, coming from a pro-Kashmiri standpoint, like I've heard it so many times in the past?
Well, look, I've been a strong advocate on the Kashmir issue my entire adult life. I was one of the first councillors to bring this motion to council after the 2019 Labour conference motion. And I'm still clear. The position of the Labour Party is that of a 2019 a motion on Kashmir, that the international community has to recognise this problem. And the issue here is, there's a twofold issue. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail in it, because I think it's unfair on the subject of Kashmir itself if we only have a brushing acquaintance to it. But just very briefly, saying on this particular point, that this is a twofold issue. The first issue is the self-determination for the sons and daughters of Kashmir. And the second issue is the violation of human rights in that region by a right-wing Modi government. These are the key two issues. The sons and daughters of Kashmir are not asking, they're not begging for their freedom. They're not bowing to their freedom. They're demanding their birthright, which is saying, give us self, let us determine our futures ourselves. And therefore, that has to be honored. And the international community does need to look at this and not say this is a bilateral issue, because it's not a bilateral issue. This is an international issue where the sons and daughters of Kashmir are being butchered and slaughtered. And we have to look at this internationally, because anywhere, and I make no reservation when I say this, this is to a certain extent ethnic cleansing, what's going on in Kashmir. So we need to make sure that we stay strong in this. And I made that point at that time when it was said as well. And that is the point that continues. The motion in 2019 that the Labour Party conference motion that was put forward still holds, and many members up and down the country still regard that motion. And like I said, if they want to change the stance on that, then the only way to do that would be to bring it to another motion to the conference. So far as I'm aware, our position is clear.
But just, I mean, being devil's advocate for a minute. So your leader is advocating one position, but members are advocating the other. Who's going to win in that battle at the end, though? You
see, I'm not up to date exactly what Kia said after that, because I've not personally met Kia or anything like that. So I don't know. Like I said, I need to come back, and obviously, if there's anything else on that, I need to come back to you. So on that point, like I said, look, Kashmir is a big issue for me. It has been for me. I'm one of the councillors that brought this issue up. And like I said, I can go on for hours and hours. From the Shimla agreement to everything, and unfortunately, we don't have that time. But I'm more than happy to come back at another time and discuss just Kashmir with you guys.
No, that's fine. Malan Sahib, I think you had a question. Oh, Malan Sahib, you're muted at the minute.
Yes, linking Kashmir. Also, recently we had. The brutality on the Palestinians, the innocent Palestinians, and the suffering of the Palestinians. And it's again, this issue didn't just start 4 weeks ago. This is going on for decades. The everyday suffering of the Palestinians in their homeland, where they're occupied, they can't even get basic necessities. So first and foremost is, what can we do as local organizations or local people to support the Palestinian cause? Because they are innocent people that are just trying to live their lives. And secondly, as a councillor, I know that many years ago there were certain councils that boycotted Israeli goods. Can we expect that from our Bradford Council, that they boycott Israeli goods so that we don't support this racist regime and this illegal regime that's there, and we shouldn't support what they're doing?
Right, look, on that particular point, look, violence of any kind has to be condemned, and we, like you said, on a more of a national scale speaking, Keir Starmer, made this very clear in the Houses of Commons only a couple of days ago, where he made at the highest possible form for an elected member, he made it clear that, look, that what we want to see in that region is a peaceful a peaceful situation where there's a two-state solution. And that's what we want to see, and we have to work towards that. And whereas, look, we're talking about the Palestinian cause, I want to be absolutely clear. I only a week and a half ago attended a bike ride which was conducted in Centenary Square by the Friends of Al-Aqsa, and what a fantastic show of solidarity. But look, we have to call a spade as well. We condemn all forms of violence on both sides, but at the same time, what we do want is, and we have to say this, is we want a peaceful two-state solution to come ahead as soon as possible, because we need to stop this butchering, this killing. And we need to move in the right direction to make sure that we, like I said, again, this is a topic we can talk on for hours and hours. But like I said, look, it'll be injustice to the Palestinians or anybody, or the Kashmiris, like if we don't, or if we continue to speak on it. So on that, I said, like I said, we'll definitely arrange another time where we will definitely speak on these topics again.
Councillor, just quickly, just going back to Malansad's point, I think the thing he wanted to be specific on was, does the council support the BDS movement, or are you not in a position to be able to force that through?
That's the council, isn't it? Look, that's the council's approach, and what the council does, obviously, that is not for me as one elected member to make a statement on that. That's a collective issue which obviously the council has to look at. But look. You see, we have to be clear here, and look, the issue here, whether in Kashmir or in Palestine, or we got in Rohingya, the Rohingya Muslims. Wherever you're looking across the board, you see what makes more of an impact rather than boycotts. Like I said, what makes more of an impact is awareness. It's creating that awareness. It's about having demonstrations. It's about going to these demonstrations and making your voice heard, but in a peaceful and in a very civilized manner. And at the same time, racism cannot be tolerated on any parts, on any fronts. And we have to understand that, whether that's Islamophobia, whether that's racism against what's it called, whether that's racism against Sikh community, the Hindu community, the Jewish community, any other community, racism should not be tolerated in any way, shape, or form. So, like I said, I can't probably answer the other question as obviously, because it's not my decision.
No, we appreciate that. Just a quick question from one of our viewers. Just wondering if you could help us with this. So there was a question said that our streets are a tip and hardly any cleaning's done, and she's called the council for picking up litter or sweeping vans, and no one comes. How can a simple thing like that be resolved? Would you be able to help with that in any way, shape, or form?
Absolutely. Look, we had the big British spring clean only a couple of days ago, and in that, on Wednesday, we actually went out and about. We had the clean teams out, the gully teams out, the hand pickers out, and making sure that we sweep the roads clean with the cleansing team. But if there's any specific pockets that they're talking about where littering and obviously stuff like that is a more persistent problem, I'm more than happy. Like I said, like I said, I take pride in this. If they want to get in touch with me, my number is 07931 123682. That's 07931 123682. It's my personal number. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, I'm more than happy to help.
Oh, Jazakallah for that. What we will do is we'll give out some of your personal details towards the end of the show. So if people haven't managed to note that down, well, it's recorded as well. So at the end of it, this will be on YouTube. You can just rewind it and put that number as well. That's appreciated, Councillor. Just another question that's come in from one of our viewers, and it was regarding, it says, recently there's been a parks fund in Bradford which has been used to renovate Lister Park. will we see any of this coming to West Park? Is that some of the negotiations that are ongoing at this moment in time you talked about earlier?
Well, the park, absolutely. The parks fund that was that's been allocated to Lister Park. Obviously, that's a separate kind of pocket of money. But we're in negotiations with senior council officers for a complete renovation of West Park. So, like we said, we are fully aware, alongside my council colleagues as well, fully aware of the issue, and that's something that we are definitely, fighting for. And I'm more than happy. Like I said, if viewers want to follow my Facebook, I would continue to put updates on there. Or if somebody has a personal, issue with that, they're more than happy to give me a call, and again, I can discuss all that with you. But there are negotiations that are.
Okay, Kamran, is there anything happening regarding the swimming area, swimming baths that was supposed to open up at the hospital?
Squire Lane, that's the one I mentioned very early on. So Squire Lane was dormant for a number of years. When I got elected, the first obviously thing that I picked up on, and I said, look, this project it has money ring fenced for it. Why hasn't this project gone ahead? So there were a number of partners that were in there at that time that were seeking to bring more investment in and make it a more of a viable option for the communities. But end of the day, what I said to them very categorically is that I understand that we're looking at proposals and how we can move forward, but we need to move pretty quickly on this, because two projects were ring fenced for money. One was Sedberg, which is up in Wyke, and one was this one, Squire Lane. Sedberg is up and running. Unfortunately, Squire Lane isn't. So we're definitely, but I'm glad to say that talks have now started on Squire Lane, and we will be in the very short term looking at some serious progress on that now.
Brilliant. That's good to hear. That's something positive that, inshallah, we'll get to see in the near future. Just a question then. You say you've been involved in politics and family's been involved in politics. If someone wants to get involved in politics and wants to make a difference, but has no idea how, how would you recommend them to get started? Because there are people out there who do want to make a difference, and one of the ways that to do it is to become an elected representative. So what's your advice on any people watching that may want to go into public life like yourself? How would you get about? Where would you start? I know you've had a lot of family influence, and you've been there, and it's been part of your sort of upbringing. So what about others who are coming in from the outside and not from a political background? How would you advise them to get involved?
Well, look, it's a choice exactly for them. It's to align themselves with a political party, and if they don't want to align themselves with a political party and maybe going in with the independent, then it's about understanding the local issues. Where are the current issues, and where are the hotspots? And once they grasp hold of them hotspots, and then it's about obviously contacting local elected at the time elected members and asking them to look, can we have some support? And if they want to get involved in politics, it's maybe shadow some elected representatives and see how they work around their daily business in politics, and that can obviously slowly give them the right kind of ways of how to get involved in politics. But my personal opinion and advice would be to join a political party. Now, I'm not going to be party political, but a political party of their choice. If somebody in Tolla, I would urge them to join the Labour Party. But like I said, without being apolitical, I would ask them.
We understand fully. And just following on from there, in terms of the role you do, how many hours do you have to take out in a week? I mean, people ask this question. What do councillors get paid? How much are you still working in your job as you said you're a qualified solicitor? Are you still doing that and the councillor at the same time? Is it two different roles? Because we know an elected MP will just do the MP role. How does it work for a councillor?
So a councillor gets a basic allowance. It's not a salary; it's actually an allowance of approximately £13,000. That's to cover his expenses and obviously and then also he has help with the IT equipment in order to assist his constituents, in order to obviously contact relevant departments in order to assist his constituents. So there's a basic allowance of about £13,000, and the time you put in, look, is every individual is different. I'll give you an example about me. When I first got elected, in the first 2 years of me being elected, I asked my whips to put me on, a lot of committees because I wanted to get hands-on into committees. So, and I'm proud that at that time that I was serving as a member on the Corporate and Overview Scrutiny Committee, which looks at the finances. This is scrutiny committees I'm talking about, which looks at the finances of the council. Then I was also simultaneously on the Regeneration and Environment Committee, Scrutiny Committee, and also on the Health and Wellbeing Scrutiny Committee, which obviously that looks at district-wide. It's not only Tolla, it looks at the district-wide plans. So Regeneration would look at the regeneration and the environment across the Bradford district. Health and Wellbeing would look at the health and well-being across the entire district. Corporate will look at the council as a service and how that's being run. And I served as member on corporate, health and well-being, and also the regeneration. I also served as a member for Bradford West area committee, and that looks at more as the concise down to area-wise, and that would then explain. Obviously, then we would look at local issues more localized to Bradford West, and also look at the budgets and how we can get more cleaning teams in and how we can get stuff like that. And so that's more on a localized plan. So, and then I went on, and at that time I would say about at least 5-6 meetings, every week, and some meetings would go on for 7 hours. So from 5 o'clock onwards, so somebody's working 5 o'clock, sometimes our meetings were going on till 9 o'clock. So like I said, so it depends of how much, and some councillors may opt in to only be on one committee. So it depends on which councillors and how you want to go in. And then myself, I obviously then became the deputy chair of the Corporate and Overview Scrutiny Committee. So then I had to pull myself away from the health and well-being because of my commitments on the corporate, because I had to attend briefings with senior officers that would go through the entire briefings of the Corporate and Overview Scrutiny Committee meetings, and obviously that was during the day, and I got hands in, and now I'm just on Bradford West and Regeneration and Environment Overview Scrutiny Committee, which I chair now. I actually chair the Regeneration and Environment of the Scrutiny Committee, and that looks at Bradford districts at large.
Also busy with the full-time job on top of that as well. So it's
well, I'm not in the legal field anymore. I gave that up. So I'm actually now 100% devoted into politics and obviously making things better. Yeah.
MashaAllah. I think just one of the things that we need to say now, we're getting towards the end. If someone wants to get in touch with you with regards to a local issue, whether it be education or street cleaning, like someone mentioned earlier, or the redevelopment of the parks, you gave your number out earlier, and if they can't take the number down, what are the ways to communicate with you? Sort of.
Look, if they go on Bradford Council website, all councillors' details are on there, including mine as well. My email address is on there. My telephone number's on there. If find me on Facebook, it's just Kamran Hussain. I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook page. It's it's actually Councillor Kamran Hussain. Please search for that. Follow me. There's a WhatsApp button that I've now I'm not technical. I'm not a technical person, but I've now installed a WhatsApp button on there, so it's quite helpful actually, because I do get WhatsApp text messages of people that can, rather than going through an email and wait for me to pick it up, these days WhatsApp, you can pick it up on your phone straight away. So so they can WhatsApp me and they can get straight through.
Just interrupt. Could you just give your mobile number? I know you gave it out earlier. Could you give it out again so people could possibly take that down and they know to look
so
at
my mobile number is 07931 123 682. 07931 123 682.
And also, if you could give them your, if you could also give them your email address as well, and that just makes it easier.
Yeah, so my email address is so CWLR.CamranHussain@bradford.gov.uk.
That's brilliant. That's excellent.
Yeah. I was just going to say, look,
yeah.
in terms of local issues, and I know time's obviously running out, but I think it's important to understand we've spoken across the board about a huge amount of issues, and it's including local issues. But everybody's concerns, Akif, are different to those. Somebody may have an issue with fly tipping. Somebody may have an issue with street parking. Somebody may have an issue with their child's education system, their child's schooling. Somebody may have issues with Bradford Council social services. And now, the range of, so if there's anything, like I said, look, anything at all, I just want to tell viewers, if there's, sometimes you may think, oh, this might not be within your remit, but actually it might be within our remit. So the only thing I can do is, if you do ring me up, what I can do is I can sign, if it's not in my remit, I can signpost you and tell you, obviously, and advise you where best you can get help. Like I said, big or small, whatever it is, please do ask. And like I said, I'm always here to help in any way, shape, or form.
Just one final thing from me, Councillor Kamran. We've got three. No, he isn't. Don't worry.
I'm surprised, if you haven't mentioned anything about England today.
Listen, I said this is a football-free zone. Let's just stay well away.
You mentioned about Pakistan. Pakistan are no good at football, and you're not talking about England's win today.
Listen, but that's a long issue. We'll do a separate podcast if you want. We've got 3 ward councillors now. Do you have different specialisms, or can we approach any of you for anything, or do you divvy up the work? How does that work? That's just something that I wanted to know.
So we're 3 ward colleagues, and mostly, so myself, obviously, I'm the chair of regeneration overview scrutiny committee, and I look at the regeneration side of stuff. We have to split our load sometimes as well. And then you've got Councillor Fawzi Shaheen, who's our mental health champion, actually, and she's got huge experience, dealing within the community sector side of stuff, the voluntary sector side of stuff, and again, an absolute amazing person. So she's got a lot of experience. Then you've got Councillor Arshad Hussain, again, I personally been stuck on many occasions when I've had to go to Councillor Arshad Hussain, because his experience, actually, because he's been a councillor for more than 2 decades, and he's still he's still in the heart of people, because people know they can get to him. And look, in our ward, and I'm proud of this fact, prior to COVID, we had 11 surgeries a month, and Bradford was the only ward, and I'm proud to say that we were leading on surgeries. So the amount of number of surgeries. But like I said, I think all councillors across the board are there to help, and at the end of the day, it's just about approaching them and telling them your concerns. And whereas me, Fawzi, and Arshad are concerned, it's not about, we don't have any real specialism, where the niche we get into. We're ready to help, and if something we don't do, we'll get back to people, and we'll signpost them. So we're all basically available more or less openly.
Brilliant. Just last and just quickly, do you you talked about the surgeries there? Do you? I mean, I know we've got the issues with COVID. Are they not on at the minute?
We're doing street surgeries. We're doing
Okay.
we're doing street surgeries at the moment. So it has to be in the open due to COVID.
All right.
But
Okay.
prior to that, we used to have surgeries at 61 Duckworth Lane. Then we had surgeries at Girlington Community Centre, which Councillor Fawzi Shaheen was heading. The 61 Duckworth Lane, which Councillor Arshad Hussain was heading, and the Manningham Mills on Scotchman Road, which I used to head. Like I said, so there's different areas, different pockets, and I think it'd be remiss of me if I didn't mention this. Like, we got a couple of questions from Imran Hafiz on here. Now, Imran Hafiz, himself is a community champion who's always, worked very hard. Certainly, I remember Imran from from a very young age. And I'm proud to say we've had the same, Urdu and Quran Majid Ustad as well. And his late father again was obviously was a very, very big friend, and obviously my father, and I used to know him as well. And again, one of the best. I remember him for his poets, for his poetry. He was certainly an individual who will be missed. But like I said, with Imran Hafiz, we do need more and more people who do engage within the community. And I want to thank Imran for obviously, coming up and raising these issues, and for his hard work and the pivotal role that he plays in the community as well. I just thought it'd be remiss of me if I didn't, mention that for Imran.
I mean, Imran is a friend of the masjid and a friend of the show as well. He's been on, and we all know the sort of work he does as well, which is brilliant. Just these street surgeries you mentioned, when do they take place? Have you got?
We're just getting back into the flow. We had one last week up on Scotchman Road, Manningham Mills. We're hopefully going to be having another one this Saturday at the just in and around Girlington Community Centre. So we'll be standing around Girlington Community Centre.
Brilliant. So I suppose people can see the updates on your Facebook page as to when they will be, won't they? Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I think we've gone slightly over. Councillor Kamran, thank you so much for appearing. It's been very insightful and informative to myself, and I'm sure to the audience as well.
Thank you for having me.
It's been brilliant, and I mean the details were given, so all you have to do is rewind. This will be on YouTube and Facebook. Just rewind and get the details. And if anyone has any local issues, I'm sure Councillor Kamran will encourage you to get in touch, because that's the way things are going to get done. If people remain silent, nothing gets done, because people won't be aware of what the situation is. So step forward, have these conversations. I mean, they're there for the reason that they're there to help. I know of a fair few circumstances where people have approached him and helped. I'm not going to publicise all of them, but Councillor Kamran has done that. And all the councillors, I'm certain, will be able to help with these issues, whether it's fly tipping or whether it's traffic issues or whether it's community groups trying to get off the ground and help sort of get activities up and running for young people. Malan Sahab, do you want to... sorry, thank you again for that, Kamran. Malan Sahab, do you want to talk to us about next week's podcast, please? Because I know we've got another exciting one coming up as well.
Yeah, before I go on to next week, first of all, Jazakallah for Councillor Kamran Hussain for taking out his time. We appreciate this. And like we said, I think this is the purpose of our Girlington, to signpost people towards these councillors so that they could do their head in. That's the whole purpose of them being there. So there are voices in the council, and we need to utilize them. But I think ultimately, as Muslims, as individuals of our community, we are all responsible. What we tend to do is throw the responsibility on others. No, you're responsible for your own house, your own community. So your own, don't throw rubbish out. A lot of people don't bother and they just throw litter everywhere. No, pick up litter, throw it. I remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, whenever you see something that's harmful, pick it up and move it to a side. That was litter picking. And the reward of that is sadaqah. So the thing is, there's a lot of things we can do individually, and take responsibility ourselves, then alhamdulillah, we've got these councillors out there. And I think, like mashallah, Imran Hafiz mentioned as well, mashallah, Councillor Kamran is a young lad. I know Fawzia, she's, mashallah, very intelligent, and she's active as well. So we've got good people around us, and we need to utilize them. We need to work together so that we can bring a change within our communities and make it a better place to live, inshallah. So that's the first point. Secondly, inshallah, next week, yes, mashallah, recently we've talked about Palestine. We've heard about what's happening in Palestine. But next week, what we've got is called the Cries of Al-Aqsa. So we've got Dr. Khalid Al-Owaisi, who's a Palestinian university lecturer in Ankara University in Turkey. So he'll talk about the history of Palestine. He'll talk about the history of Masjid Al-Aqsa. We'll also have Brother Mohammed Bayat, who's the project manager at I Love Al-Aqsa. So inshallah, next week, 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock, inshallah, we've got the podcast called The Cries of Al-Aqsa. Inshallah, please join in, because Dr. Owaisi is a very intelligent person. I've listened to many of his lectures, met him in person as well, and it'll be a shame to miss out on this podcast. So inshallah, next week we've got them on, and inshallah, we're hoping, every week like this, we'll get on people that are positive people that we can help educate within our community. So inshallah, we've got other people lined up, and I'm sure Akif can mention these things.
Yeah, inshallah, this second series, we're going to come up with a few surprises and raise a few eyebrows. There are a few people that are very familiar to you that you'll be surprised have come on to our local little podcast. But inshallah, as we go along, stay tuned. Next week will be a cracker, and as the weeks come on, I'm guaranteeing you there will be some familiar faces appearing as guests from a sort of regional and national sort of standpoint. I'm not going to discuss who they are just now. I'll tease you a little bit. Inshallah, I will be bobbing in and out as well. So we'll have a variety of presenters. So if you do get bored with me, you can always let us know, and we'll get Barbara back as well. But Malana will be, inshallah, again next week. And until then, Assalamu alaikum from me, and salam to you all.